You are listening to the Cookbook Love Podcast with Maggie Green, episode number 400.
Welcome to the Cookbook Love Podcast, a podcast that celebrates cookbook readers, buyers, collectors, writers, and clubs. And now your host, cookbook author, culinary dietitian, and cookbook writing coach, Maggie Green.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Cookbook Love Podcast. Welcome to episode 400. So excited to be here in your ear and on your phone or laptop, tablet, desktop for the 400th time. Shown up 400 times to talk about writing and publishing cookbooks, celebrating cookbook readers, writers, collectors, and clubs. Talk to hundreds and hundreds of people who want to write a cookbook, and I've had a front row seat to speak with and interview some of the most amazing people who have finished their cookbook writing projects. And after 400 episodes, here's what I know for sure. The difference between people who actually finish their cookbook and who just think about a cookbook, it's not talent or timing or opportunities. Although those things maybe help some, I think that the difference is willingness. And I think about the difference between being willing and being ready. And that's a little bit what I want to talk about today. Because I know for a fact when I started this podcast, I was not fully ready to do 400 episodes at the very moment I started. In fact, when I started back in September of 2018, I really didn't even know how to do what I was going to do. I did not know if anybody was going to listen. I didn't know if I could keep going week after week, but I knew that I was willing. There are episodes along the way that I almost did not publish. I remember listening back to them and thinking, okay, that's not good enough. I should just redo that episode, or I should wait and record it again when I have everything I want to say all figured out. And the truth of the matter is that when we do something like that, and we decide that something's not good enough, nothing external really changes. Nobody's waiting for what we are going to do in its perfected version, and no one was going to tell me that it was okay or give me permission. I just decided to publish it anyway. And that's an internal decision to publish and to be willing to put things out there before they're perfect. And do that over and over and over again. And that's exactly what I've done. And here we are 400 episodes later and talking about the difference between being willing to do something and feeling ready. So I hear this a lot from people that I listen to the podcast. They have not been on the show, but people write to me behind the scenes. They come to Cookbook Clarity conversations with me and talk about their cookbook. They join my programs and they do want to write a cookbook, but they really don't feel like they're ready. They're waiting for more recipes, a bigger audience. They say agents and publishers tell them they need more followers, they need more time, they need more clarity. But what's really happening is that every time we start to get close to doing something, did you know that the starting line moves? You could decide that you need to have $100 in the bank before you start a podcast. And this is just an analogy. Then you get to $100. And once you get there, you think, okay, I'm not ready. I need to have $101, or I need to have $110, or I need to have $200. And we change, again, the circumstance outside of us before we actually make the decision to do whatever it is we want to do. And when the moving and starting line changes, we're never ready. Not because something's wrong or because we have done anything wrong, but because readiness is not something we achieve ahead of time. Readiness comes by starting. So if I'm going to start a podcast when I have $100 in the bank and I make that decision, when I get $100 in the bank, I start. And then I record my first episode, publish it, record my second episode, publish it, record my third episode, publish it. So starting it is what actually makes us ready, not waiting for an arbitrary starting point. Now, it's good to have goals, and it's good to have measurable goals and to say we're going to start it on a certain date or at a certain time. But the secret is that we actually do what we say we're going to do at the time we decide we're going to do it. And this is true for people who finish cookbook proposals or finish and publish cookbooks. They don't wait for everything to feel settled and certain and ready. They make a decision that they are going to do it, and they do it. I've had people inside Cookbooks on KDP self-publish a book on Amazon, their recipes and stories, in 12 weeks. And the reason that they were able to do that is because they decided to join the program and do it. They finish them. Now, granted, they come to the program with recipes written, photos ready, but they finish their books in 12 weeks because they made the decision to start their book and complete it. They don't wait until everything feels okay on the outside. They make the internal decision to start, even when the outside circumstances maybe aren't exactly what they thought they should do, or they don't feel fully confident. They move forward knowing there's always going to be unknowns. So our current life is not set up to produce cookbooks. If it were set up to produce cookbooks or podcasts, you would have one now if you want it. But the truth of the matter is that we don't sometimes have what we want. We dream of doing something new, which means we have to change in order to get it. Cookbooks require space, structure, follow through, focus. And the question is whether or not we have created that structure, focus, follow through, and space in our life in order to make the cookbook or the podcast appear. So there's small ways that this happens in our real life. Let's think about something that we really want to do, and we make a plan to do it. And we get everything lined up and ready to do it. But we tell ourselves at that moment, kind of like having the $100 in the bank, that we need one more thing or we're not ready. And then the days pass and the weeks pass and the months pass and the years pass and we don't do it. But the truth of the matter is that the decision needs to be made. We need to follow through in our decision. And then we need to make the space in our life for whatever it is we want to do. Time in our day, time in our calendar, structure, follow through, maybe support if you need it, mentorship, guidance, join a coaching program, something like that if you really want to have the support and structure to do it. So if there's something that you dream of doing, if it's a podcast, writing a cookbook, the question becomes not are you ready, but are you willing? And are you willing to decide to start something and create the space for it so that you feel ready by starting? This is something that I think about a lot, and I tell this story about my first cookbook. I think I've told it here before, but I certainly had the credentials to write the book, being a registered dietitian. I certainly had the experience. I was a private chef for people in their homes for many years in the greater Cincinnati area, and then I went on to work with the Joy of Cooking. I was cooking here at home for my family every single day, but I hesitated to send my cookbook proposal to my publisher because I wasn't sure it was ready. I wasn't sure I was ready to step into being an authority on home cooking in Kentucky. And I first had to decide that I was really ready to claim that space to be that expert. So I waited because I wasn't ready. Not because I didn't know what to do, not because I didn't have the cookbook proposal written, but I wasn't ready to fully own who I needed to become and the authority I needed to own when I submitted that proposal. So what finally shifted for me is I remember sitting down and realizing I could just keep thinking about sending that proposal for another year. Or I could send it and start being ready when I sent it. So I sent the proposal. The book got accepted. It became something real. It got published. And that went on to open so many doors for so many opportunities, including the podcast that I'm sitting here talking to you for about today. That one book changed my entire life. So are we ready to do something new, knowing it's going to change our life in many ways? It's going to change our life while we're creating it, because we have to focus on it, create the structure and the space. And it's going to change our life because we step into the authority of who we're going to be when we write a book. And it's going to change our life because of the opportunities that come down the road because of that book, including writing more books, being asked to be a guest on people's podcasts, being asked to be on book panels, speaking and engagements, opportunities to travel, go places I've never been because I suddenly was an author. This is the same thing that happens every time we decide to do something new and we're willing to do it. Because after 400 episodes, I can tell you that the people who succeed with book writing and podcasts are not the ones who feel the most prepared and the most ready. The people that have 400 episodes of a podcast and have written multiple books and have done things in their life that they dream about doing are the ones who are willing to move forward without feeling ready at the starting line. So what in your life are you willing to change, or what are you willing to shift in order to make your dreams come true? Maybe it's your schedule. Maybe it's your priorities. Maybe it's how long we stay in research mode instead of making decisions. But something has to change in order for these things to happen. And I think the biggest thing that I now tell myself that I didn't used to tell myself was that I have tons and plenty of time. I'm not crazy busy. I have time. And the reason I have time is because I'm alive. And I believe that my life is here for a purpose, to introduce people to things that bring more light, more love, more peace, more joy, more fun, more enjoyment, more food, better food, more community, more family time into their life. I have tons of time to help people do that. I have so much time to help people get the results that they want. That is an amazing thing that has happened to me over the course of time. So once you stop asking if you're ready, you can start asking a much more useful question, which is what needs to change in my life so that I can actually do the things that I want to do. So some of you might be listening to this podcast for the first time. Some of you maybe have been here a long time. And some of you have listened to dozens of episodes, maybe even hundreds of episodes. And some of you are here just learning for the first time. And maybe some of you still have a dream of writing a book. A cookbook, nutrition book, food book, a cookery book, baking book. And remember, you want to do it not because you're ready, but because you decide that you want to do it. So I want to tell you that this week I'm hosting a free masterclass called Stop Dreaming About Writing a Cookbook and Start with a Clear Plan. Inside this class, I'm walking participants through decisions that we make to move our cookbook projects forward and to show you how to go from thinking about something to building it with direction. So if you are interested in that masterclass, the link is in the show notes, or you can head to www.cookbookwritersacademy.com/stopdreaming and sign up today for the masterclass. So in closing here, again, thank you so much for all of your participation. Episode 400 for my podcast did not happen because I was ready. It happened because I decided to show up every week, week after week after week after week, dedicated to putting this show together for your benefit. And our cookbooks work the same way. Everything won't click in one perfect moment. It's just a series of decisions that we make to move forward. So if you're willing to make those decisions, I can definitely show you how in the masterclass that I'm teaching, and I would love to see you all there. So that is it for today's episode, 400th episode of the Cookbook Love podcast. This is your host, Maggie Green, and until next time, have a great day and keep loving your cookbooks.
Thanks for listening to the Cookbook Love podcast. You can find out more information at www.cookbooklove.co.